Hey guys, this is Promise. This is my future classroom community presentation. So first I'm going to just talk about the intellectual side of things. I think it's really important to give students quality feedback so that they can think about what they are doing in class and just apply what they know intentionally and know where to change things and where they did things right. That feedback is really an important part of their learning and helping them evaluate themselves and encouraging them to know what to do right for next time and what to change. So I think that's one of the most important things we can do as teachers for our students. Establishing clear objectives is really important because they can't do the work right if they don't know what's expected of them. So just having those expectations really understandable and clear for the students is really important so that they know what they should be doing. Just having those expectations set out clearly will really help them complete their work in the way that you want it to be done and will help them reach those objectives faster. And then the last thing is really just chaining learning. So this is something that we learn about in social studies methods, and it stands for choice, hands-on, authentic, inquiry, and new. So just giving students choice in their learning is really great because then it's an equal responsibility between you and them for what they're doing instead of just you telling them what they're going to do and them doing it because you said so. Giving them that choice really helps them, I think, in their learning by giving them, choice in what they're going to do. So I think that's a really good thing to remember. Having hands-on experiences is really important for kids because I know that at least personally, having hands-on experiences rather than reading something out of a textbook is so important and really helps me learn more than anything else. So anytime that you can have that hands-on experience, I think that's really important to incorporate just so that they can see it, hear it, feel it, touch it, potentially taste it, I guess. So that's a really good thing. And then just having authentic experiences, giving them opportunities for inquiry and having new stuff, like that's really important because you don't just want to be doing the same thing over and over with them. It gets boring and you know it and they know it. And so just having new experiences is really important for the students to engage them and make sure that they're getting those quality learning experiences that we strive for so often. I think it's really important to focus on learning rather than grades because sometimes grades don't reflect our students' progress as well as we would hope that they would. So I think it's important to make sure that we're focusing on what, their progress rather than if they get an A or a D. And then another thing is just having a we mentality rather than a you or I mentality. Going into it as a team is really important, and we know that we're in it as a team, but just saying that intentionally and making a point to make that clear to the students is really important, and I think that will really help build community in the classroom. Second is the social aspect of things. So as I've listed, just creating explicit rules and enforcing them consistently is really important. I think it's really easy to not play favorites, but just, enforce the rules differently for different students, and that's really not fair. So just having those consistently and equitably enforced is really important. You don't want students to think that they're going to get away with stuff, or on the other side of things, that they're just always going to be in trouble. That can really cause problems and break down the community in your classroom. So just, enforcing those rules consistently is really important. And then allowing students to give feedback on your teaching, I think, is really important. And I know that's difficult to do as teachers because we don't, we want to think that our lesson plans are the most amazing thing that has ever happened, but allowing them to give feedback is really important to just see things from their side and make sure that on both sides of things that the lesson is going well. Another thing that I think is really important is posting student work. It gives them an identity in the classroom and it gives them ownership in the classroom. And that's super important because then they feel like they belong. And that's really one of our main goals as teachers, is to make sure that our students feel comfortable in our classroom. And then as far as like having students interact with each other on a social level, just having different groupings of students is really important, like not putting the same students together every time, because you want them all to get to know each other and to have those authentic experiences with each other and really build those relationships across the classroom. So one way you could do that is through a class blog. Have the teacher, yourself, mostly posting the blog updates, but then maybe have a student spotlight or discussion boards where they can talk to each other so that they are interacting in and outside of the classroom on that personal level. Now we're going to talk about the emotional side of things. So the biggest thing here is trust, and I think that can be established in a lot of ways. The simplest thing that you probably don't even think about is just learning each other's names, because you can't trust someone if you don't even know something as basic as their name, but sometimes that can be hard, especially in bigger schools. So just making a point to know each other's names and know each other on that personal level is really important for the emotional support of all your students. So establishing that early on, even with you as the teacher knowing your students' names, is very important. It just shows that you care and you're going that extra step. They need the same amount of trust at school and at home. So just establishing that community early on and establishing that trust is really important for them emotionally. Give students opportunities to collaborate. That will really help build community in your classroom, and ensure students understand the benefits of taking risks. It's really hard to take risks around new people, and it's frustrating because we know as teachers that it's so important to make mistakes and take risks and do all those things to better yourself as a person and really learn about just the value of doing those things and taking those risks and learning from it, and seeing where you're wrong and seeing where you're right. And that's really hard if there's no emotional support from the class. So just establishing that trust early on is really important. Reassure them that it's just okay to make mistakes and it's okay to have feelings and have thoughts, and those aren't things that need to be hidden away. We are all friends in the classroom and we can share those with each other. Lastly, we have the physical aspect of the room. So giving students room to move around is really important. It can be easy to just stuff your classroom with a lot of things, especially if you have a small classroom. It gets really difficult really quickly to just move around, and it also becomes dangerous if you have a lot of stuff in there. So just having that open classroom where students can move around and stuff like that is really important. So just make sure you get rid of obstructions and have minimal distractions in the room. These kids are already in a class with 20 other kids their age or whatever, and then when you start adding in all the bright colors and all the attention getters on every single poster, it becomes really difficult to focus and to just have one thing on your mind when they're trying to learn a lesson. So I think that it's really important, if you are noticing that your kids are getting distracted easily, to switch out colors of your stuff. Like my CT just did that in her classroom. She noticed that all of her stuff was extremely colorful, so she swapped it out for black and dark blue stuff, and the kids are able to just focus a lot more easy now. So I think those little changes can make a big difference in the classroom, and keeping those in mind is just a really big deal. So yeah. So 3 main takeaways that I have today for you are to make learning fun but purposeful, give students choice and ownership in their learning, and make everyone feel welcomed and valued. Thanks for watching.